I can't believe I'm here, right here at the 34th edition of NEAF Northeast Astronomy Forum and Space Expo. Look at all the stuff that they have all around here. Today I'll be visiting hopefully all the booths and exploring if any of the brands are showing anything new and exciting I can't wait to see. And then I'll be attending as many talks as I can because they have incredible guests that will be speaking today and tomorrow. Let's go and explore. Dwarflab came out with a new product, the hydraulic tripod with the Equatorial head. It is retailing for only $89 and you get the mini tripod included, which in the past, as we knew, you had to use a third-party tripod with the Dwarf telescopes, and now you have this tilt and pan mount that helps you polar line. Dwarflab has introduced for a while the Stellar Studio that lets you do processing directly on your phone from the pictures that you took with the Dwarf. But what they have just told me now is that they are working on something that they call mega stacking. And essentially what will let you do is do multi-night stacking directly in-app. So that means that essentially you can go on vacation with your Dwarflab, do multiple nights of the same target or multi-targets when they're up at high using the plan mode, and then you can restack every single one of those targets from multiple nights directly in the app. And then you can use Stellar Studio that does things like deconvolution, sharpening curves, if you want even star removal. Exciting. So I can't wait to try that. I do have a Dwarf at home that I purchased last year, so I think I'm going to try that out. The brand Celestial Buddies is here. That's Buddies. This is a brand, I mean, it's nothing new. I've been a fan of them. I have some of these at home. I have Jupiter and Mars, but here they have the whole selection, and there is a possibility I will be leaving with some of these from this conference. I think the little comet has to be my favorite. I am currently inside the Starpoint Australia's portable observatory. They have two models. This is the smaller one. It's called the Phoenix. As far as their colleague told me, it takes about 15 minutes to set up, which is insane. And the idea is that you can protect your equipment against wind. I think you can fit 2, maybe 3 telescopes here in this smaller model. And it costs $650 which I think is actually a quite reasonable price, and I think I will be looking into it because it does sometimes get windy where I shoot if I go out to the mountains. And this here is the larger model, which is identical to the small one in everything except for the price. Here I think you can fit in even 4 telescopes if you really try, and it retails for $850. I am here at Spectrum Optical Instruments, who have introduced a huge range of different smart telescopes and regular telescopes that we have here. So let's have a quick look at what they're offering. First of all, they have 3 different models of Dobsonian telescopes, which are currently regular traditional Dobsonian telescopes. You get it as an all-in package, not so different from what other brands are offering. Something that is actually very nice about it is that the spider vanes are curved, so that you don't have the spikes on bright stars or the planets, which I think would improve the visual experience. And then we have arrived to the range of smart telescopes. This is one of them, the larger one, the SkyPilot SP127, which, as you can see and guess by the name, is a 127mm Maksutov telescope. So the way this works is you get this entire package, but the smart part is actually not in the telescope itself. So if you wanted to, you could actually remove this. The smart part is the fact that you have this little camera that is connected via cable to the tracking mount, which is an alt-azimuth mount. So the idea here is if you want to observe with a Maksutov telescope and you use the finder scope that is digital, it will actually play itself and point your scope in the correct direction so that you can actually look at it, because obviously this telescope has a huge magnification at this focal length. And then what is a bit unique on the market in terms of smart telescopes is that this camera actually comes off, and you could put that in here. So once you find a planet, you can actually take planetary shots. And obviously with the 127mm lens, you actually can get a nice image of the planets with this IMX662 camera. And then we have the same exact concept here. This is the smaller Sky Pilot, the SP127 It's exactly the same as we saw before, but just in a smaller configuration. So we have the mount that is connected via cable to this camera. It's the exact same camera that you have in the back of the telescope here. And then you can just find things automatically and do some imaging. Last but absolutely not least, we have this series, which looks like a harmonic mount, but somehow it is still the same system as we saw before, an integrated smart telescope with a harmonic mount. So the idea here is that you still have the brains in here. You can still connect that to the same little camera that we saw before, so it will still find the same objects for you. Obviously, with the fact that you can polar align, you can take longer exposures, you can have guiding. And I asked, and they did confirm to me that this will become a full-fledged harmonic mount very soon. They will be opening up the system within the next few months. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how it is. This whole thing retails for $1,500 and you get all of this included. I think that if it works well, that is a really good option. I have the Pegasus SmartEye in my hand. This is a product I have been very excited about ever since they originally announced it last April. So that was a whole year ago. So we have been waiting for a long time for it to be announced, but I actually also got to look into it before. The company has saved some pictures that they have taken with the SmartEye at different star parties. So you actually, even though it's like daytime and we're inside, you still get to have an idea of what the experience looks like. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed. Let's have a look at the actual device. Actually, I think that one of the nicest things that they have done is that they have found a way to power the whole camera with a 5-volt power source, which is USB-C. So you actually have a single cable that goes into the system that does everything on it. You can actually also plug in an SD card next to the cable slot. So what you can do is you look at the live stack directly in the eyepiece. You can look at it on the phone. You can have multiple people connect to it at the same time and look at the live stack. But you can also save all the FITS images directly on the SD card so that later on you can go back to it and you can restack it on your computer and have some nice astrophotography images. What is also nice is in this configuration that we have right here. So we don't have the eyepiece adapter. We just have this M54 connection to it. You can actually calculate the correct back focus that you need for your telescope. So that way you will have, hopefully, depending on your optics, perfect stars all the way to the corners, and you can do proper astrophotography. Of course, this is also cool. So by all means, this is a fully functional deep sky camera with an IMX533 sensor. But in addition, you get all the auto stacking features and everything else that you want. The way you're meant to use it is that you connect this to Sky Safari on your phone. You also connect your mounts via Sky Safari on your phone, and you just control everything from there so that it's all in sync and it's all wireless. It is coming out any day now. It is coming out next month. It is retailing for $1,600 US. So we are looking at M50 where we have just started stacking. So actually you can get an idea, even when we're in here, what it would actually look like if you use it in real life. I will try to take a picture of what it looks like on the inside because I don't think I'm able to connect to it here. Super excited that we hopefully get to try it soon. Stay tuned for more information on this. So we are here at Celestron with Lance. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Tell us all about all the new products that we can see here today.
Great. Well, one of the things that we have, it's not necessarily a new product, but there's some new features to it. And that is with our Celestron Origin. Now, we debuted this last year. And it's a fantastic scope. It's an f2 astrograph, which means you don't use an eyepiece. It actually images at f2.2 and displays the images on your phone, stacking live images as you go so that the longer you look at the target, the better your images will become. And it's got its own built-in battery. But the thing that we're talking about this year is that we're offering a tabletop tripod, which basically takes the place of the tall tripod. This is great that if you go camping and you don't want to have to take that large tripod with you. And the beauty of it is, since there's no eyepiece, it's totally okay to have the scope low to the ground, as long as you don't have any trees or obstructions.
Yeah, I mean, it's half the size of what it was before.
Exactly. One of the other new things that is coming out this year now, Celestron is not manufacturing this, it's actually Prima Luce, but we have this cap that also features display here that allows you to take flats. Why is this important? Is because if you ever do change cameras, we're eventually going to have upgrade cameras for you. You will need to take new flats, or if a lot of people will want to change the orientation of their camera,
you need to take new flats.
You need to take new flats. So this is actually fits as a lens cap. You could actually keep it on as a lens cap. And then also plug it in, turn it on, and it illuminates your field so that you can take flats very quickly and very easily.
It is very light. I was expecting it to be heavier. So
Very
you just
much so.
leave it on and then it opens up electrically.
Exactly.
You control it remotely. Very nice. Let's see if I can get this
There's
back
a
on.
little bayonet here. You have to put it in and then rotate it
Okay.
to lock it in place. Probably one of the biggest features that we have is what people have been asking for, is we now will have support of the Equatorial Wedge. So instead of being limited in alt azimuth to a maximum of 30 seconds for an exposure, this gives you the ability to go as long as you want, tracking equatorially.
Yeah.
So it's a significant advantage. Now, this is going to be available not immediately. It is currently in beta, but we have the wedges already. That's the same wedge that you would use for the Evolution.
Wedge, yeah.
But the trick is we're going to have the software available very, very shortly.
Okay.
So that'll be coming soon.
So I expect you're providing software help for accurate polar alignment.
Exactly. That's all part of it. It'll be the wedge align. It'll also do the polar alignment for you. So it's very, very easy to function.
And I see one more thing here.
Yes, exactly. So again, when you're working even with an equatorial mount, you want to make sure that you're guiding for long exposures. If you go longer than a minute, I would highly tell you that you should be using an auto guider. And this will now support the StarSense auto guider, the SSAG as we call it. It's just plug and play. This plugs directly into the aux port and it does everything for you. You simply tell it through the app that you want to guide, and it will guide and keep that object centered, and you can open your shutter as long as you choose to.
So have you done any testing on this? I imagine yes.
Yes, quite a bit actually.
How long is a reasonable exposure that you can expect to take with an average polar alignment?
We've done up to about 2 minutes.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, you can obviously, as long as you're auto guiding, you can go as long as you want.
Okay, so you can do like 5-minute shots if you're just precise enough. I mean, at this focal length, you should be able to do that. Yeah,
absolutely, because you've got such a wide field of view, and yes.
And then I imagine that the software will retake the darks for you at that longer exposure time.
It doesn't necessarily retake your darks, but it gives you the ability to do it. You simply put the lens cap on. I would recommend if you're out in the daylight, throw a jacket over it just to get it, stray light. And you just go into the advanced options menu, and there's a button, take new darks. You take it, and scope does its thing, and it comes back, and then you're able to use them. It's not overwriting existing darks, so it will keep track of the dark frames as you add them, and apply the appropriate one accordingly.
So you can build up your library. Is that based on time only, or does it also have a temperature sensor?
Time and temperature as well.
It's both.
Yes.
So you can really build up a library over time.
Absolutely.
And you retake them once a year.
Yes.
That is really convenient. Could you potentially put the equatorial mode on the tiny tripod? Do you think that would work?
Of course you can. Yeah, I mean, since there's no eyepiece, it's still a question of you have to access the polar alignment, but if you don't mind kneeling down while you're doing that, the app is actually telling you how to move the mount. So you don't have to, you can absolutely do that. It's the same exact tripod head.
I mean, that just makes it so much more portable for people wanting to do astrophotography.
Exactly.
That is so cool. Thank you. And I expect you have one more very exciting new product that we should have a look at.
We sure do, and that's why we saved it for last, if you want to follow me. Now to introduce to you what everyone has been waiting for, the RASA 6. This is basically the same optical tube assembly as you would find with the Origin. But the difference being is it does not come with a camera, and it does not come with the electronics that actually function as the go-to in automatic exposures and whatnot. But the trick is this allows you the freedom to choose whatever camera you want to attach to it, and put it on whatever Celestron mount you want to put it on. And this is it. So
this is just a new size to your existing range of
exactly.
RASAs, which is very exciting. I'm a very happy user with a RASA of a RASA 8. Can you tell us a little bit about the limitations of the imaging circle, the corrected circle, and all of that?
Yeah, basically what you're looking at is about, illuminates about up to an 18 millimeter sensor. The circle actually does go out to about 22. But with that, of course, you're going to get a little bit of vignetting on the outside and not guaranteed a flat field at that point. So it's optimized for the 18 millimeter chips or smaller.
Okay, so you expect people to use like one of those small sensors with the small little pixels and...
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very portable option.
Very. I'm used to lugging the RASA 11 around, and I'm eyeing this now and going, you know, as I get older, I'm like, yeah, you know what?
That's a long one. I mean, I carry my RASA 8 around in one piece, also with a camera attached, so that is really convenient, but that is even smaller. I think you can fly with this if you want to.
Absolutely.
Because it's short enough.
The cool thing is, I'm sorry, the way it's strapped down here, but we have a carry bag that's specifically designed for this optical tube assembly.
So this is meant to be lugged around.
Yes.
And I think you can also, given the fact that it's so small, you can make it like a truly portable system also maybe by throwing it on a small harmonic mount, because I imagine it weighs nothing. I don't know, how much does it weigh?
The optical, I'm sorry, I don't have that specific right now. It should say here.
8 is the starting point to unlock it.
8.4 pounds.
8.4 pounds. So it's lighter than an 8-inch McCasserand.
Yep, by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you very much for your availability. Is this available already?
Yes, it is.
Do we have a price point?
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I should say that this is available coming in spring. We're not. We don't actually have them in stock at this time.
Okay, so we don't know the price yet.
No, I don't have that information.
Okay, so we're looking forward to finding out more. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Simon here from ZWO. Thank you so much for your availability.
No, it's not good.
And we have seen that we have the brand new S30 Pro for the Seestar, and I would love to find out more about it if you can tell us a little bit.
Absolutely. So, you know, Seestar has been an absolutely amazing, digital telescope. It's, just outsold our wildest dreams in terms of getting people into the hobby. So the Seestar 30 Pro is really a development of the Seestar 30. And, since we sort of first introduced Seestar, there's always been this sort of demand for, better sensors and better capability. And that's where we're taking Seestar 30. The 30 Pro, firstly, the optics have changed. So instead of a 3-element apo, we've gone to a 4-element. That'll give us better color correction, better sharpness of stars, etc. So that's been really, really good. And the main sensor has also changed. So we're going to a 585MC chip, the color chip, which is absolutely been one of the most popular cameras in our series. It's for those that don't know, it's a 4K sensor, so that'll be really, really good for nighttime imaging. It's a Stony Starvis 2 sensor, so very, very sensitive to night sky, and that'll give us better resolution. And also with the new optics, the focal length is staying the same, but because we've changed the chip, we have a slightly wider field of view. So you get about a 4.2 by 2.3 degree field of view now, instead of the much smaller Seestar 30.
Amazing.
So that's the primary change to the main optics. The secondary optics as well, the wide field optics have also changed. And we've also changed the sensor on this as well. We're going to put in an IMX 586 chip.
Okay.
And the 586 chip is also a Starvis sensor. It's one that you'll find a lot in mobile phone cameras. So we all know, modern phone cameras are really, really capable. And we're changing the optics as well to an 84-degree field of view, so that will give you capability to do something that has been asked for since day one, and that is Milky Way and star trails. So the Seestar app will be updated. There'll be a one-touch mode for Milky Way and star trailing as well. So that will give us a capability that we didn't have on the original Seestar 30 because of the sensor we had in that camera.
Yeah.
Other than that, the other change is you can look at the body and you would say, well, that's the Seestar 30.
Just added Pro.
We just added Pro on there. That's one upgrade. There is some internal upgrades as well. Obviously, with the new sensors, that means each image is a lot bigger. So to go with that, we're going to upgrade the internal storage to 256 gig as well. So to summarize then, new optics on the main and secondary sensors, new sensors themselves, and an expanded memory as well. That's going to be the Seestar 30 Pro at the moment.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. I do have a few questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
With the larger field of view and the larger sensor, can we expect maybe flat calibration to come sometime?
We're not there yet in terms of we're still testing sensors and setting up that. How far we go with an expert mode yet is still to be determined.
Okay, so it is a possibility that it's not excluded.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
When can we expect this for? Because I think that's what everybody wants to know.
I think you'll see around the middle of the year availability to order, and towards the sort of back end of this year to actually get them on the table. So.
Do we already have an idea of the price point?
No, not yet. That's the one thing that they haven't set. We're still working on, setting up. This is a prototype, so I would expect. Yeah, I mean, if you look at now, a Seestar 30 is, $399.
Yeah.
So it'll be upwards of there, but obviously it's got to, fit in line with all of that new technology.
Is this going to be replacing the S30, or is it going to be an additional model that is available?
Yeah. The intention is to continue on with the 30 as well, to give people that option. If they don't need that, top end, pro features, then they can still get the low one as well.
I just love the fact that you have this exposed in equatorial mode here, because there's no going back, right?
No, I've spent months testing equatorial mode in New Zealand. What's been really, really good is to actually get people's feedback and then integrate that into our app, and then to actually get to a point where when we release it, it actually really feels polished. And you might notice here that we've actually, this is
an equatorial wedge.
This is the ZWO Equatorial Wedge, and we don't have these available for order yet. But this is the a sample that what it'll look like.
So it's coming.
It is coming. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite nice actually. It's quite a neat little unit, and the saddle unit etc. fits all real nice as well. So yeah, it's probably going to go to sleep because I haven't used it. It's probably going to park itself and go to sleep.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for your availability.
No, you're
it was super helpful. I could have never said all of these things. It was really, really nice.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much. So we have the new EQ wedge of the Seestar, where they have separated movement of the altitude and the azimuth. That should make the fine alignment easier. So let's see how this works. I will unlock the azimuth now, so we can actually adjust this. So this is suggesting that the pole is up there, right? And we have a quite fine way of adjusting that. And then you can lock that. And at that point, you can unlock the altitude, probably here. And you have this little handlebar. And you do have a scale of the degrees on both axes. If the app kind of tells you how much you're off by, that should help. Another brand new product they have introduced at ZWO is the ASI585MC Air. That is exactly what it sounds like. It is a new deep sky cooled camera with the IMX585 sensor, which has been a very popular entry-level deep sky camera, which is now integrated in a system that is very similar to the model that came out last year, the 2600MC Air, which means you have a full-fledged deep sky camera, which is the duo configuration. So you have the two sensors. You have the integrated guiding sensor there. And then on the back side, we have everything that is the actual ASI Air. So we have our 4 USB-A ports, and we have the USB-C port that is connected to the internal storage of the ASI Air. And we also do have 2 power ports. So this is actually a difference that we have compared to the larger MC Air model, which had 3 integrated DC ports. So essentially you would use one of them as an input source, and then the other one you can use to power an external whatever device you need to power. The most exciting thing about this camera is the price, because it is retailing for $799 for this whole thing, which actually gives you the ASI Air, the deep sky camera, the whole guiding. So actually it is a very, very sensible option for maybe an entry-level person or someone who has been doing some astrophotography but is just thinking to switch to a dedicated astro camera. I think it is a very capable option. Of course, then we see how it is in practice. I have not had the chance to try it yet. We also have a whole new EAF electronic focuser model. This is the EAF Pro, and they have added quite a few new features that makes it an actually quite upgraded product in my opinion. They have included a battery which has a capacity of 2500 milliamp hours. So essentially you could have it on your telescope with maybe one less cable that you don't need to connect if you can run it. I don't know how many nights you can run on a single charge, that is to be seen. You can also control it via Bluetooth now, which is a nice feature. In addition, we have two new buttons here with which you can choose, you can move the focus in and out in fast or slow mode. So what they did essentially is they included the hand controller that used to be a product sold separately and you would have to connect it via cable. It is completely integrated now. So if you really wanted to, you would have no cables whatsoever. How nice is that? And I have asked, but the price is not public yet, so we still have to wait for that. So I just got back to my hotel right now. It has been a very, very long day. It was so eventful. There was so much stuff going around, so many companies with new products and a lot of interesting people and presentations. I also got to meet so many people that I normally just know online. So that was really fun. So many interesting discussions. And there's one more day of NEAF tomorrow. And then after that, 2 more days of NEAC, the imaging conference. I'm super looking forward to all of that. So I hope that those of you who didn't get to come out to NEAF have gotten to gain an insight into all the stuff that we saw, or some of the stuff that we saw today. And thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I wish you clear skies.